welcome back to Change Your Life podcast. My name is Dwight Gillespie. I'm your host. I want to thank you for stopping by. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and by all means, share this video with your friends. And check us out for the other ones that we have available as well on the podcast. Just so you know, we have a website, or I have a website. It's DwightGillespieAuthor.com. We can also be found. I can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, and a couple of other places. Quora, we're on a bunch of them. Anyway, this is the Change Your Life podcast, and we discuss topics on how to get your life on track. When you fall off a little bit. Today we're going to today's topic. What is I have to look at my list over in my little cheat sheet. Right. It's gratitude, the antidote for life. That sounds really corny, right? I say a lot of corny shit though. It's only corny until it works. You know, people who don't use this, it's corny. I don't want to do it. I remember I knew a kid once. You know, I'm in recovery. I've been in recovery for 9 years, 6 months, and what's today? Today is the 18th. So it's 9 years, 7 months, and 8 days. So that's how long I've been clean. But I've been around recovery for a very long time, and I had this same attitude for a very long time. And there's a guy, and he was struggling, and I may have told this story before, but you'll notice I repeat them a lot. But anyway, and he was like, all that corny stuff. You go to all these meetings, you talk to people about your feelings, all this stuff. And he's like, it's all corny. And I'm like, dude, you're 32 years old. You're living in your mother's basement. She gives you a Metro card to make sure you can get to work. She's raising your child. Like, it doesn't get any cornier than that. How long are you going to keep doing this, poking holes in your arms and stuff like that, Because I got to tell you, nothing's cornier than a 40-year-old guy living at home and dependent on his mother. Anyway, that's me. Gratitude, the antidote for life, and why I call it that. I think one of the things in my life, one of the things that I've often forgotten to do was to be grateful for what I have. I had a great book. It was I don't want to butcher her name. Is Hope Jarin, I think is the way you say it. It was a book called Lab Girl, and there was a little passage in it, and I have to paraphrase it. It was a great book. It was she was a botanist. She was like one of the first female PhD botanists in the United States, and this is her memoir. A really, really good book. It was a very good read, and she talked about spirituality. And again, I remember it was something to the effect of this, and she said that every day she prayed for strength. Right, she would pray for strength, and then one day she kind of realized she was watching her son out in the backyard, I think it was, and realized how wonderful it was. He was healthy and beautiful and enjoying the sunshine. She was living in Hawaii with her husband and son, and she realized how wonderful her life was. And she said that, basically that praying for strength every day gave the indication that there was always something that you needed strength to endure, And really what that does is it's kind of negative because it really undercuts all the wonderful things that are going on in your life. And that brought up a thought to me. And I'm going to tell you, again, I lost my kids in a car accident and things got really dark. And I remember going through that, and I had relapsed into heroin addiction, and it was really bad. And I would go to sleep every night with the same thing on my mind, and it was the same prayer, and it was a true, honest prayer. I couldn't kill myself. My father had committed suicide when I was 18. There was something in me. I couldn't do that to my family, I guess, whatever. In the last podcast, you'll know that I had attempted it once. I tried to hang myself. It didn't work out. You can buy the book, Price Tags. My book, Price Tags, is on sale. Amazon, on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and other outlets. Anyway, let me tell the story. Get to the story. I'm getting to the story. Okay. Basically, I would go to sleep every single night with the same thought on my mind. And it was, please, please kill me in my sleep. I can't do this anymore. I just couldn't live the way I was living. It was horrible. The heroin was horrible. I wake up every day having to get something just to get straight, just so I wouldn't get sick for the day. And then I would have to get more to get high to make my problems melt. And the heroin was no longer doing what I was employing it to do. And it didn't care. You want to talk about a cult? Talk about the cult of heroin, man. And every morning when I woke up, it was the same word out of my mouth. And I don't like to swear because I don't like to get demonetized or whatever. But it was the same word. I say, fuck, like here we go again, and I would wake up every day and it would be the same thing. And I had gone through that, and I would pray for a better life, like, get me through. Oh my God. And I had faith tattooed on my arm because, I was like, God, I believe in you. Please stop messing with me. Ugh, ugh. Anyway, it was a very, very dark, dark time, very, very difficult, very rough. And I couldn't see anything outside of the darkness. I say the only light I had was like a candle in a windstorm, and things started slowly to get better. I sought professional help. I did these things, but one of the things that was really imperative in my getting through this period of time was to begin to be grateful for the things that I have. To not focus on all the harsh hardship that I went through. Number one was I was still alive. I lamented these deaths in my life, and what I had to really realize was the end of their journey, not mine. I had to realize that from the time that my father died to the time that my son died, those two horrible deaths that I suffered, and I've said this before, in that period of time, it was about 25 years, 1 billion people on this planet had died, and I was pissed because I knew two of them, because two of them affected me personally, and I had to remember that this was not the end of my journey. And it didn't need to be either. That I could live through this, that I could grow through this, that I could start to become a beacon for other people who are going through this and to be their light in the darkness. To tell people that are going through the same thing, that are going through these hardships in their life, that it can get better. And when I started to look at these things, right, when I started to become grateful, I would make gratitude lists. I say, well, what am I grateful for? And at first it was, be grateful for. My life sucks. But that was a lie. I was lying to myself because I still was relatively healthy. I had to get off the drugs. And fortunately there was a place I could go, and I did. I sought recovery again. And I don't endorse anything, but if you have a problem with drugs, there's a good place to go. Um, and I went there and I met wonderful people that I didn't know existed, right? And they helped me kick drugs, and they've helped me up to this point stay off of drugs. And I continue with this program of recovery because it works for me. It works for me. And that's on my gratitude list. I'm so grateful that it's there. I'm grateful that I didn't die in that accident. I'm grateful that I get up every morning. I'm grateful that I have food to eat and clothes on my back and a roof over my head. And even if it's just that basic that I ate today, there are millions of people in the world who aren't going to be able to say that. We lose 30,000 people a year in this world because they don't have drinkable water. I mean, think about that. I'm in the United States. I don't think that other than Flint, Michigan, where it's always kind of iffy on the water, unfortunately. But just about anywhere in the US, you turn on a faucet, you can drink the water. I mean, there are 30,000 people a year that die because they don't have water to drink. So I started to become grateful, and I started to realize that these are the things in life that I could count on and dwell on. And instead of dwelling on all the negative stuff that's happening, and there's been a considerable amount of it, I got to tell you. I grew up in a tough place to be a kid. I always say that it was abusive. It was loud. It was chaotic. My father, it culminated with my father's suicide. I had all these things, a horrible divorce from my first wife, losing the kids. Like these are genuine problems. But no matter what has happened, I've been able to persevere through it because they do pass and you do learn to cope. And as long as I can focus on the things that are going right rather than the things that are going wrong, I know it sounds corny, the glass is half full or half empty. Actually, the glass is always full because even the part that looks empty is filled with air, right? I remember somebody telling me that once. I mean, yeah, I know that's kind of a douchey thing to say, but it's true. Um, and it really does depend on what do you want to focus on? What are you focusing on in your life? What kind of a person do you want to be? Because anybody can sit down and hang their head down and droop their I did it for a long, long time. Um, I've been institutionalized 3 times for depression in my life. I mean, institutionalized, put away 3 times, locked wards. What do you want your life to be? And be grateful for what you have. I knew a person who said, I hate my parents, and this person, she was living home with her parents, and her and her kid, and she was upset. Oh, my parents think they have a say in my life. I'm like, well, they do. You're in your 20s, you're living, you're eating their food, you're under their roof. They clothe you, they feed your kid, they clothe you. If you don't want your parents to have a say, there's something you can do about that. You know, um, the gratitude. Be grateful. Be grateful for these things. I have to say, and I'm going to finish it on this. That prayer that I had. When I said that every night, I have to tell you, I go to bed every night now, and I say thank you. And I have a God in my life. It's not a religious thing. It's more of a spiritual thing. I do believe in God. I don't necessarily believe in any particular religion. That doesn't really work for me. And we did a podcast on that one already, right? Yeah, yeah. On the God thing, and my personal beliefs. Explaining it doesn't really make any sense because I don't really know what it is. But anyway, I know it's something. Um, but I have this, and I talk to it at night, and I thank it. I thank this power for keeping me clean another day, for giving me another day with food in my belly and clothes on my back and a roof over my head. Another day in relatively good health. I had a good friend pass away recently, and that's it. Because this is going to happen. And one day I'm not going to be there, and so I go to bed and I say thank you, and when I wake up in the morning, I say thank you again, and because it's really hard to be in a pissy mood when you wake up every day and say thank you to something. Thank you for waking me up today. Thank you for giving me another shot to get this right. And I'm never going to get it right. It's never going to be perfect, right? But every day I can persevere and I can go through it and be grateful. Be grateful that I'm given this opportunity to sit here, talk to you wonderful people, who are going to hit that like button and who are going to subscribe, right? We might as well make that pitch too. Uh, you can never say it enough, apparently. I think you can, though. I think you can overdo it. But anyway, I am grateful. And I have to tell you, too, that the person that had begged God to kill him is gone now. I pretty much got my wish because I am not that same person that was begging God for death. And I really do believe that my wish was granted, just not the way that I thought it would be. And that's another thing about gratitude. I prayed for an outcome and I got it. I wasn't specific on how it should be attained, but I am not that person who sat there begging for death, who sat there wondering how he's going to get $20 in the morning to get straight. So anyway, I want to thank you again. I want to thank you for listening. Have a wonderful week. My name is Dwight Gillespie. This is a Change Your Life podcast. Thank you for listening to me. We'll see you later. Be well. Bye.